thanks for staying with us. The Nigerian Customs Management has officially defended its budget at the National Assembly. Also on customs reports, the Nigerian Customs Service also speaks on Customs Act as approved by Mr. President. Plus, more report. I am Egiseme Etienne. Stay tuned. The management of Nigerian Customs Service, alongside with the Contract General of Customs, was at the National Assembly to formally brief members about the operations of the customs. The chairman of the committee has this to say before the CG started his briefing.
As a whole. I take this opportunity to once again congratulate Mr. Bashir Adewale on his appointment as the Comptroller General of Customs and as the first beneficiary of the landmark Nigeria Customs Service Act 2023. This act represents a significant milestone, explicitly mandating the appointment of a career officer not below the rank of Assistant Comptroller General of Customs by Mr. President, a move that ensures experienced leadership within the service. Furthermore, I extend my heartfelt congratulations to the entire management team of Nigeria Customs Service. Having worked alongside the Comptroller General while rising through the ranks, you possess a unique understanding and synergy that will prove invaluable in navigating the challenges and opportunities ahead, rather than when the head comes from outside the service. Considering the complex interplay between fiscal and monetary policies and their impact on trade, I would like to propose the formation of a tripartite committee comprising representatives from Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Federal Ministry of Finance, Nigeria Customs Service. The committee will serve as a platform for open and transparent dialogue on fiscal and monetary issues as it affects trade, ensuring thorough discussion and analysis of crucial decisions before their implementation. Such collaboration will facilitate a more robust and coordinated approach to trade policies, mitigating potential disruptions and fostering a conducive environment for economic growth. Just last week, investors woke up only to discover that exchange rate has been raised from 784 naira to a dollar to 951 per dollar without any notice. I received uncountable number of calls because people mistakenly thought it came from Nigeria Customs Service. To prevent such abrupt changes, as the chairman of this committee, I suggest implementation of a House of Representatives resolution of the 9th Assembly requiring a 90-day notice for policy changes. This approach will allow ongoing transactions to conclude smoothly, minimizing economic distortions and inflationary pressures. I am excited about the upcoming meeting in Lagos, where we will engage with key stakeholders in the economy to delve deeper into the critical issues and explore collaborative solutions for advancing our nation's economic development.
The Comptroller General said that the service will always maintain the rule of law in the clearance of goods at the ports, airports, and the border posts. According to the CG, the customs will always implement laws that will help the system and stakeholders to grow under this new dispensation.
Giving us to be here this morning and we feel humbled that I'm sandwiched by two big revenue-generating agencies, petroleum on this side and telecommunication on the other side. I'd just like to quickly address the two questions raised. The first one on the source of revenue. The major source of revenue for the customs, like you know, is the import duty, which is charged on all goods imported into the country. The other source, which we are also trying to make a lot of efforts on, are the ones that are internally generated, the one that is charged on goods that are locally produced in the country. We call it excise duty. Excise duty is increasingly become very, very popular and very strategic to our revenue expenditure. In 2023, excise accounted for almost 17–18% of the total revenue. And in 2024, we are already projecting revenue to the tune of 333 billion in 2024. For our performance in 2024 revenue, which is the second question, the total targets, the revenue targets that we have for 2024 is 2023 is 3,684 billion naira. 3,684 billion naira. This would have translated to a monthly revenue target of 307 billion. So we target 307 billion per month, and for the total, we had 3.6 trillion naira. And in terms of performance, as at end of November, or should I just say last week, Friday, we have done 2,959 billion 858 million naira. In terms of the percentage of the total that we are targeting for 2023, this amounts to about 81% of our projected revenue. We still have some few days in 2023. We are a little bit optimistic that we would be able to give the target a very good shot. An analysis of our performance in 2023 shows that we had a very, very slow start to the year. And we know that there were a number of factors that were responsible for the slow performance in the year. But things have redoubled a little bit from the second quarter, from the third quarter of the year. And we've moved from an average of about 200 billion per month in the first half of the year to something in the region of 350 billion per month in the second half of the year. So in 2024, the projection that we have stands at 5,079 billion naira. This would represent 423 billion revenue per month for 2024. And like I said, out of all this, we expect that excise will be responsible, the internally generated excise will be responsible for over 300 billion. Like I explained, I understand how important this issue of waivers are. And waivers is one of those areas that if we get it right, this kind of revenue figures that we're talking about for 2024 is achievable. I mean, if we can give up 1.8 trillion in 1 year, that's a very huge number. And I believe that if we review the environment under which those waivers are given, if we monitor them properly to ensure that the economy gets value for those revenue that are given up, I am sure that we'll be in a better position in 2024. The goods in the ports that are not clear represent some kind of revenue that are sitting inside the ports for us. And one of the first things I did, actually, as far back as July, when I took over effectively, was that we looked into our system and we started raising questions about goods that have been laden in the ports and for which declarations have not been made. We have a number of PARs that have been issued, pre-arrival assessments that have been issued. We have bill ladings that were opened. We have temporary importations that have not been perfected. So we looked at all of that and we had a small committee. So an internal audit that we did revealed that there are so many of these that are still there. And that exercise, we realized over 11 billion naira revenue from that exercise. And when we were doing our evaluation, we discovered that we're just scratching this problem in the surface because there still remains a lot of those goods that are not cleared. Even outside the ports, there are second-hand vehicles that have been imported in defiance of the law closing the borders. And we see a lot of revenue sitting in this kind of vehicles. We are already seeking the appropriate approvals from the minister for us to be able to subject all these vehicles to assessment so that we collect revenue. We estimate over 500 billion revenue attributable to these particular vehicles that are outside the ports. In terms of possibility for 6 trillion, Mr. Chairman, I agree very much with you. This is possible. We are targeting 5, but it's not impossible for us to make 6 if some of those operating environments, some of the issues around the operating environments are talked about. And I'll just mention a few of them. The concession that we talked about, if we are able to review the concessions that we are going to grant in 2024, we might get there. Excise duty. You remember that, at the beginning of July, excise on single-use plastic products, tobacco, single-use products was suspended. So we believe that if this excise, the suspension is lifted, we are believing that something in the region of 300 billion can be realized from single-use plastic alone. Then the excise duty on alcohol and tobacco. This has also, there is a projection to increase it to 30%. If this is done, we also expect that revenue will also get to where we wanted it. There are a number of other things like processes. We are planning to deepen our operations automation program. The minister has made it very, very clear that we are going to deploy single window in 2024. We are indeed very grateful to the National Assembly for enacting the new law, the new Nigeria Customs Service Act 2023. This law, creates and gives us the opportunity to implement a number of tools that facilitate trades and that will make revenue generation on our processes better. So with all of this, I am quite optimistic that 6 trillion naira in 2024 is possible.
You are watching the program, Customs Report. The Customs Area Controller in charge of Tinkan Customs Command has been speaking on the new Customs Act in Lagos. The Customs Board says that the new act will enable importers to fine-tune their clearance and documentation at the port. He was speaking at the League of Maritime Editors held in Lagos.
Maximizing the opportunities in the blue and marine economy, with Nigerian Customs Service has promoted through its various reforms. Yes, over the years, through our various reforms, we have been encouraging opportunities in this sector. One of such reforms is the review of the service legal framework in line with current realities of international trade. Nigeria, with its vast coastline along the Gulf of Guinea, is strategically positioned to harness the untapped potentials of its marine and blue economy. The recent enactment of the Customs Act 2023 brings with it a renewed focus on trade facilitation, particularly in the maritime sector. This paper explores the significance of Nigeria's marine and blue economy and analyzes the implication of this Custom Act on trade. Nigeria's coastline, stretching over 850 kilometers, presents an invaluable asset for development of the marine and blue economy and, of course, international trade. The country's rich maritime resources include fisheries, aquaculture, shipping, offshore oil and gas exploration. However, these sectors haven't been fully optimized, and there is immense potential for growth and diversification, as emphasis has always been on import and export of finished products and raw materials, whereas other considerations of the economy, which also borders on trade, are not given the needed attention. The blue economy encompasses a wide range of economic activities related to oceans, seas, coastal areas. It is not only crucial for sustaining marine life, but also for fostering economic development of Nigeria. Nigeria's blue economy holds the key to job creation, food security, renewable energy, foreign exchange earnings. The effectiveness in harnessing of these resources requires a comprehensive approach, integrating sustainable practice with technological advancements, for which the reforms in Nigerian customs advances.
What the president of the league has is to say.
Maritime editor is like conscience of the maritime journalism industry, the conscience of the journalism industry. Journalism practice in this industry. So sometimes we have to bring up issues, very topical issues, that people will find very useful, especially in their operation, in the operation of clearing, in the operation of shipment, in the operation of imports generally. And that's why we brought in technocrats like the CG represented by Nade to come and throw light on this issue of 2023 New Customs Act. And you saw how they did justice to it. So they have been able to x-ray it. Those of us who are here, who are, distributors or purveyors of news, we now go and distribute it to the public so that they will know what they should do, so that they don't step on toes or import prohibited items that will eventually be intercepted or seized by the custom, and their investment will be washed away. And the Nigeria Customs Service. There are a lot of things customs was not able to do before, but they can now do it. Custom can impose serious fines, punishment, even jail, prosecute and jail is included in that 2023 Customs Act. So everything they are doing now is all inclusive. Paraventure, you don't know. Customs now can, generate revenue, and the law allows them, I think, to spend a small chunk of it, for their logistics, provide logistics, so that they don't go cap in hand, begging money from government every other time.
The National Association of Government-Approved Freight Forwarders in Nigeria has conferred an award to Controller of Customs and his deputy in charge of enforcement. The Controller commended the freight forwarding industry for a job well done.
Congratulating the National Association of Government-Approved Freight Forwarders, NAGAF, and his founder, Dr. Boniface Okechukwu Anebonam, who funded this association and has sustained it through pragmatic leadership for the past 24 years. NAGAF has produced several notable industry players, and it showed the tenacity of the founder and the past leadership. I recall when I became the Public Relations Officer of Customs newly, way back in 2004, when I was closer to NAGAF, then as one of our major stakeholders. We worked with somebody like Dr. Usman, late, may his soul rest in peace, and we set a template of using NAGAF as one of major advocates for the reforms that is the maritime industry. And I am happy that they've been able to sustain it. They've produced several firsts. Through NAGAF, we've been able to get some regulations within the system that has helped Nigerian Customs Service in its revenue drive. But don't forget that the founder, Dr. Boniface Okechukwu, was once a custom officer before he left. So it also shows you that that drive of customs, those legacies that customs imbibed in him, still surfaces. And he has been able to take it to what we're seeing today. I wish them the very best. And I look forward to their 25th, that is their Silver Jubilee anniversary in days to come.
While the founder of NAGAV also speaks on customs submission in the country.
He talked more of professional standards. And so, taking it from there, that would take me to Council for Regulation of Freight Forwarding as an act of the National Assembly. This act has a mandate to professionalize freight forwarding and logistic business in Nigeria. That meaning that the essence of standards cannot be overemphasized. If we don't get the freight forwarders right, business at the ports definitely will continue to have setbacks. And indeed, the council has a mandate of ensuring that skills are acquired, knowledge acquired. For instance, you want to deal with the customs. Customs is a highly technical organization when you discuss issue of revenue and then the goods itself in terms of classification. You need to have that knowledge to be able to cope with the customs. And so, if government can understand the urgent need to look into the Council for Regulation of Freight Forwarding have not in any way lived up to expectation. The wise men and women of the National Assembly have done so well to bring about the establishment of the Council in terms of legislation. But for how many years now? 2007 up to now, that Council is still wobbling and wobbling and wobbling.
These bags were intercepted in a large wooden boat in the early hours of the 9th of December 2023 off Lagos Approach. This time around, my boys were they are tactical enough to apprehend the suspects. So we have 2 suspects with this consignment, and the suspects, including the bags of cannabis, were handed over to officials of National Drug Law Enforcement Agency for necessary action. The good news is the Nigerian Navy, under the leadership of Vice Admiral E.I. Ogala, Chief of the Naval Staff, will sustain its partnership with relevant agencies, government institutions, security agencies, and organizations. Even if they do not want to cooperate with the Nigerian Navy, we will cooperate with them because we have sworn an oath of allegiance to defend the territorial integrity of Nigeria. So what we are doing today is a show of interagency collaboration in order to hand over this contraband to the appropriate government agency. I'm sure the consignments are coming from the Republic, and of course they are bringing them into Lagos State. But unfortunately, due to the patriotic nature of the men that were deployed, they were able to intercept the boat and stopped it from entering into the market. Of course, we understand the relationship between drug abuse, crime, violence, and criminality. So what we are trying to do is to break the genes, to make sure that this drugs does not enter into the society, and by so doing, we uphold national security. And I'm trying to convey here now that the Nigerian Navy will not stop. We will continue to make sure we go after perpetrators of this crime.
Just before the end of this week edition of the program, Customs Report, we brought you a report where Mr. President officially commissioned the Customs Day, which started on the 13th and is going to end on the 15th of this month. For me, Egeseme Etie, thanks for watching.